Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a great show for you, diving into the recent...
Welcome back to the Pirate Radio Waves, brought to you by Solomon's Rising Sports Betting. We are strapping in for what is not just a standard Thursday night football matchup. This is a true, unadulterated NFC playoff eliminator.
Oh, absolutely. It's an elimination game wrapped in a primetime bow. And when you start crunching the numbers, I mean, the playoff odds, the stakes for Detroit are just massive.
How massive are we talking?
Our source material lays it out pretty clearly. If the Lions drop this game at home, their shot at the postseason, it just plummets. We're talking down to a dismal 12%.
Wow.
But if they pull off the win, those odds soar, up toward 45%. It keeps them right in the hunt for a wild card spot.
And on the other side, you've got Dallas. They're surging, playing really inspired football. They know a win here basically secures their path forward.
It is a must-win for both sides, no question.
So that really sets the stage for our deep dive here. Our mission is critical. We have to cut through this massive public bias, and I mean massive here. Some reports have 82% of all betting tickets riding on the home favorite Lions.
Yeah, the public loves Detroit in this spot.
So we have to figure out where the sharp money is actually going, where it's moving this line. We need to find that real betting edge and, crucially, target the most profitable player props for this matchup.
And we don't have to look very far for the biggest tell. The single most telling piece of evidence that the public narrative is just, well, it's flawed.
The line movement.
You have to start with the line movement itself. This game opened with Detroit as a pretty significant favorite, Lions -6.
That's a strong home field number.
It is. But today, right now, we are seeing that line move violently down to Lions -3.
That's a 3-point swing.
Yeah.
And for anyone who bets football seriously, that is just the loudest possible signal you can get.
It crosses the most critical number in football, right? The 3-point field goal margin. That kind of change tells you that the knowledgeable money, the sharp money, the people who have the deep injury info and understand the tactical mismatches,
They're on the other side.
they believe the Lions are grossly overvalued, they are fading the public favorite, and they're doing it aggressively. The market is screaming that the wrong team might be favored here.
And that is where we find our edge.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're calling this deep dive the betting edge. And the whole foundation of that edge, it starts with the core difference between these two rosters right now. So section 1, the tale of two rosters. We have to start with the Lions because that situation is, well, it's deteriorating fast.
It really is. The initial story, was that the Lions were this October juggernaut, just an offensive machine that outscored everybody.
Right.
But the truth is, they are now an injury-riddled squad, and the betting market is finally, maybe a little slowly, starting to price in that steep decline in talent.
And it all begins in the one place where the Lions usually dominate every single week.
Yeah.
The trenches. Their offensive line is fundamentally collapsing.
And we're not just talking about losing a guy. We're talking about losing the brain of the entire operation. Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow, he retired unexpectedly. His replacement, Graham Glasgow, is severely limited. He's questionable with a knee injury, trying to play on a short week.
So if he can't go, or if he's not effective, who's next in line?
It's a guy named Tristan Colin. And look, the drop-off from a Pro Bowler to a replacement-level player is one thing.
But the intellectual loss, right? The center makes all the calls. That's what worries me, based on our notes.
It should worry you deeply. Ragnow wasn't just a physical mauler. He was the quarterback of that offensive line. He was responsible for setting all the protections, making those critical point calls against exotic fronts.
So if Glasgow is out, Colin is the guy making those calls.
Colin gets thrown into that air traffic controller role against one of the most sophisticated and, frankly, aggressive defensive interiors in the entire league. Their protection has already looked shaky in recent games. This is just the absolute toughest spot you could imagine for a third-string center.
And if that protection is already faltering, Jared Goff's life becomes miserable, especially when you look at just how decimated the rest of his weapons are.
Decimated is exactly the right word. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's the emotional engine of this offense, right? 75 catches, nearly 900 yards.
He's doubtful, low ankle sprain, hasn't practiced all week.
Exactly. Then you look at the supporting cast. Sam Laporta, the standout rookie tight end, he's done for the season. Back surgery. That's their best red zone threat. Just gone.
And Khalif Raymond is out too.
Their speedy deep threat also ruled out.
So wait, you've lost the entire focal point of your offense, your number one red zone option and the deep threat who stretches the field. How are the Lions supposed to sustain drives? How are they going to score the 28-plus points the public thinks they will?
That's the critical disconnect. The source analysis points this out. The public is still pricing Detroit based on their early season metrics, not the team that's currently missing its O-line leadership, its D-line depth, and its top 2 pass catchers.
They're relying on guys who are high-variance, deep threats or backups.
And that is not a recipe for a consistent winning offense.
And we're not even done with the injury report. The defensive side is also showing some serious cracks, specifically in the secondary, which, well, as we'll get into, that's a monumental problem against Dallas.
Absolutely. They lost their promising rookie corner, Terrian Arnold, for the season to IR. Safety Kirby Joseph is questionable with a knee.
And they have guys coming back, but they're rusty, right?
Yeah, corners like Mosley and Davis are returning, but they've been out for a while. A short week is the worst possible time to ask coverage guys to get their timing back against an elite aerial attack like the Cowboys.
And don't overlook the D-line depth. This impacts their run stopping and their pass rush.
It's severely compromised. They already lost one DT, and now DJ Reader, their big free agent signing, he's nursing a shoulder. He's truly questionable for this game. Without him, their interior rotation is paper thin.
Okay, so that's the casualty report for the Lions. Let's flip it and look at the Cowboys, because this is where that momentum shift is just so stark. They're getting stronger, getting healthier, and they made one move mid-season that has completely changed their defense.
That move, of course, was trading for the all-pro defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. And his impact is not theoretical. It's massive, it's quantifiable, and it is the key driver behind this whole line movement.
Okay, so give us the hard numbers. How significant has his arrival actually been?
Our sources show that since Williams got there in Week 11, the Dallas defense has gone from, frankly, a liability to a genuine strength. Let's just look at EPA allowed, expected points added, allowed per play.
Okay.
Before Williams, so weeks 1 through 10, the Dallas D was allowing a terrible plus .131 EPA per play.
That's bad.
Since he arrived, that number has plummeted to 0.000.
Zero. So they've gone from a huge negative to basically league average overnight. That's astounding.
And it's all driven by that interior disruption and run stuffing. Look at the run defense specifically. Before Williams, Dallas was allowing a horrific 143 rushing yards per game, one of the worst marks in the league.
And since he showed up?
Since he debuted, they are giving up a paltry average of just 45 rushing yards per game.
Wait, 45 yards per game over the last 4 weeks? That's an elite top 3 run defense.
Precisely. That is a jaw-dropping swing, and it completely negates Detroit's primary offensive identity, which is, establish the run and use play action off of it.
And they're getting stronger in the secondary, too.
Yep. With Trayvon Diggs activated from IR and looking optimistic to play, he forms a duo with the breakout corner Deron Bland. All of a sudden, Dallas fields a formidable playmaking corner tandem.
And Diggs' ability to create turnovers is exactly what they need against a pressured Goff.
Right. And beyond just the players, you have to talk coaching and mentality. This Dallas team just looks mentally tougher.
They really do.
Under head coach Brian Schottenheimer, they've thrived in the role they're in tonight. The underdog. They are 5-1 against the spread as a dog. They outperform expectations in these spots. They've got momentum. They've got discipline. I mean, look at the recent wins against the Chiefs and Eagles.
This is a team built for this moment.
Yes.
So if we put this all together, the betting conclusion feels inescapable. The line shift from Lions -6 to -3 is entirely justified.
The narrative of the dominant Lions is just stale. It's old news. You have a healthier, surging Dallas team with an elite defensive anchor facing an injury-ravaged Detroit team that's missing its leaders in the trenches and its top skill players. The data is clear.
The wrong team is favored.
The wrong team is favored.
But I have to push back just a little bit. That 82% of public money on the Lions. This is not just blind faith, right? It's accounting for the real home field advantage at Ford Field, the short week for Dallas, and let's be honest, the Dan Campbell factor. That emotional intensity, are we sure that emotional edge can't nullify the loss of a center?
And that's a great question. It's probably why the line didn't move further than 3 points. But the analytics here are ruthless. The loss of Frank Ragnow isn't just one guy. It's the intellectual failure of the whole offensive foundation.
Right.
Football games are won and lost in those interior trenches. When that core snaps, especially against an elite disruptor like Quinnen Williams, no amount of emotional factor can save your quarterback from repeated A-gap pressure. The numbers still demand we recognize the value. Cowboys money line at plus 145. It just offers significant value.
So this is a clear, informed fade play on the Lions.
It has to be.
Agreed, we have to follow the sharp money.
Oh,
Okay, let's pivot. We've settled the line value, now we have to translate that into how the game actually plays out. This brings us to Section 2, game script and Flow Detroit's grinding uphill battle.
The entire flow of this game is going to be dictated by that trench mismatch we just detailed, Lions O-line versus the Cowboys D-line.
It all starts there.
It all starts there. Detroit's identity hinges on establishing the run and protecting Goff. Without Ragnow and with a compromised Glasgow, the interior is a catastrophic weak spot, and Dallas is going to attack it every single snap.
So let's focus on that marquee matchup then, Quinnen Williams versus Tristan Colon. This is the whole game.
It absolutely is. Williams is an elite force. Since Week 11, he leads all defensive tackles in the NFL in pressures. He's got a pass rush win rate near 27%, which is just absurd for an interior guy.
And Dallas will just line him up right over the center.
Ruthlessly. They will line him up right over the A-gap, and they will attack Colon relentlessly with power and quickness. Our analysis confirms that Ragnow's absence and Colon's inexperience just rendered Jared Goff highly vulnerable to A-gap pressure.
And if that pressure gets home, what does that mean for Goff's performance? We see a different guy.
We expect to see the turnover-prone, error-riddled version of Goff. He is a true Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde player from a clean pocket. He's 5th in EPA per dropback. An excellent decision-maker.
But under pressure.
He plummets to 28th. The efficiency just falls off a cliff.
And why is that A-gap pressure so much worse for him than edge pressure?
Because it's instantaneous. It's right in his face. It disrupts his mechanics. It cuts off his ability to step into the throw. He can't process the field. We saw this on Thanksgiving, right? Both his interceptions against the Packers came on delayed blitzes targeting that exact spot, the A-gap.
The spot Colon will be guarding tonight.
Exactly. We are projecting at least one interception from Goff in this game, especially with a ball hawk like Trayvon Diggs back there to bait him.
So, if the interior line can't hold up, the Lions' whole run game just crumbles.
Yeah.
And that sets up our first game flow expectation, the run game fade.
Yeah. Detroit wants David Montgomery to be their downhill hammer. But trying to run into the teeth of this Dallas front, now anchored by Williams, is literally like running into a brick wall.
What are the numbers?
Since Williams' debut, opponents are averaging only 3.0 yards per carry on interior runs.
3 yards a carry. You can't sustain an offense like that.
You can't. So this immediately makes fading Montgomery's production incredibly appealing. We are locking in David Montgomery under rushing yards, which is likely to be set around 60.5.
And the rationale is twofold, right? The matchup and the game script.
The crushing matchup disadvantage and the expected negative game script. If Dallas jumps out to a lead, which we think they will, Detroit will be forced to abandon the run.
So how low do you think he goes?
I mean, we're forecasting maybe 12 to 15 carries max. Probably for around 45 to 50 yards. The risk of him breaking a big one is just low against this disciplined front. It's a high confidence fade for us.
Okay, so if the run game is fading and Goff is under immediate pressure, he has to have a safety valve. He needs an escape hatch. This brings us to game flow expectation number 2, the checkdown machine.
And that means Jahmyr Gibbs. He becomes the single most important volume player for the Lions in this game script. When Goff feels that heat, his primary instruction is to get the ball out of his hands, now.
And that means checking down to the running back.
To Gibbs in the flat, on angle rights, Gibbs is dynamic, and he frequently sees a huge spike. We're talking 6 to 8 targets in games where the defense gets consistent pressure.
So the pressure on Goff forces him to use Gibbs as a receiver, and that translates directly into a prop bet.
Absolutely. Jahmyr Gibbs over 4.5 receptions is a lock. It correlates perfectly with our entire thesis of heavy A-gap pressure. Detroit will have to scheme quick passes and dump-offs just to neutralize the rush. This isn't speculative, it's necessity driving volume.
Now what about the deep shot wild card, the guy who benefits just because St. Brown is out? Jameson Williams.
Yep. He becomes the nominal WR1 purely out of necessity. He played 94% of the snaps last game, saw a career-high 10 targets after St. Brown went out. Dan Campbell needs him to produce explosive plays because they can't sustain long drives.
His prop line is around 58.5 receiving yards. That feels a little high variance for him, doesn't it?
It is high variance, but the sheer volume gives him a clear path. Think about it. The Dallas secondary is aggressive. Bland and Diggs will press and challenge guys.
Which makes them vulnerable over the top.
Exactly. One blown coverage, one deep shot on play action. Williams only needs one 30 or 40-yard gain to cover most of that number. Given the lack of other options, Detroit will take their shots. If he gets 8 to 10 targets, we love Jameson Williams over 58.5 receiving yards.
All right, that's a great deep dive on the Lions' offensive hurdles. Let's flip the field now. Section 3, Dallas's aerial assault. If Detroit's struggling to stay on the field, Dallas is going to maximize their possessions, especially against this banged-up Lions secondary.
This side of the ball, it's a schematic disaster for Detroit, all because of their coaching tendencies. Dallas's offense, led by Dak Prescott, is walking into an absolute dream matchup.
Why?
The Lions DC, Aaron Glenn, he plays man coverage on average about 66% of the time. That's one of the highest rates in the entire NFL.
Dak Prescott against man coverage is...
He's elite. He ranks 4th in EPA per play against man coverage looks and, critically, #1 in the entire league in total passing yards against man this season. He is a pre-snap savant. He will identify and exploit those one-on-one matchups instantly.
And the Lions secondary, as we said, they just don't have the personnel to combat this.
They don't. Arnold is gone, Branch is hobbled, other guys are rusty. If Detroit sticks to their high man coverage rate, which Glenn historically does, Prescott is going to feast. It's inviting a mismatch on every single play.
But what if they adjust?
Yeah.
What if Glenn sees this and switches to, a cover 2 or cover 3 zone to protect his guys?
That's the defensive dilemma, and Dallas wins either way. If they switch to zone, Dak is patient enough and accurate enough to just pick apart the windows underneath. It minimizes the big plays, sure, but it allows Dallas to sustain drives, which keeps the Lions' offense off the field.
So we're projecting Dak for a big day, around 285 passing yards, 2 or more TDs. What's the best prop value on him personally?
I think Dak Prescott over 2 touchdown passes is a very strong look. And that's primarily because of Detroit's red zone coverage issues. They rank 30th in opponent red zone TD rate, giving up touchdowns on roughly 71% of opponent drives inside the 20.
So Dallas will get there, and they'll throw it in.
Exactly. With that air mismatch, Prescott's going to throw it in near the goal line.
Okay, let's talk about the locks. The guaranteed volume guys for the Cowboys. It has to start with CeeDee Lamb.
Lamb is the alpha. He's a route-running savant. He is virtually unguardable in single coverage, whether he's in the slot or outside. Detroit has no reliable answer for him. They might try to bracket him, but that just opens up the rest of the field.
What's your projection for him tonight?
Against this defense, comfortably, I'd say around 110 yards and almost certainly a touchdown. He's the most consistent force in this game.
And who's the guy who benefits most from all the attention Lamb is going to draw?
That brings us to George Pickens. Pickens is the size and speed threat, a massive 6'3" receiver who benefits immensely when coverage has to roll towards Lamb.
And he's been on a tear lately.
An absolute tear. He's cleared 78 or more receiving yards in 7 straight games. His prop is sitting at 75.5, and given the weakness of the secondary, specifically the smaller Detroit corners, Prescott is going to throw him jump balls.
That height advantage is key, isn't it?
It is. Detroit's corners are gritty, but they lack size. If Pickens gets single coverage, which he will, Prescott trusts him to go up and get it. That prop, George Pickens over 75.5 receiving yards, is extremely attractive.
Okay, let's go back to that defensive dilemma for Detroit. The damned if you do, damned if you don't issue. They need pressure, but they can't afford to expose their secondary.
That's the catch-22 for Aaron Glenn. They need pressure, but their pass rush has faltered. Aiden Hutchinson is their only real star, and he's often double-teamed. The Lions rank dead last 32nd in the league in average time to pressure opposing quarterbacks.
And that's even with blitzing a lot.
Right, despite blitzing heavily. And blitzing Dak Prescott is it's self-defeating.
He kills the blitz.
He owns the 5th best QB rating in the league against the blitz this year. He welcomes it because sending extra guys just exposes that already weak, injury-riddled secondary and man coverage against guys like Lamb and Pickens.
So if they can't stop the pass, they have to at least try to control the run and keep Dak off the field. How does Dallas approach their ground game here?
Dallas will absolutely test that Lions defensive front early with Javonte Williams, especially if DJ Reader is out. The purpose is tactical. They want to force Detroit to bring an extra safety into the box.
Which creates the one-on-one matchups that Dak wants.
Exactly. And the game flow implication here is crucial for the over-under. If Dallas gets, say, a 2-score lead in the third quarter, they will pivot immediately to ball control football. They'll chew clock with Williams and Rico Dowdle.
You see Dowdle as the closer.
Dowdle is extremely trustworthy in those clock-killing situations. He just grinds out tough yards. He's the guy they rely on to salt away a lead, pounding the rock and keeping Detroit's offense off the field. And that strategy strongly supports the under.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, the over-under, red zone value, and wild cards. The total is at 54.0. Now, despite us talking about Dallas feasting, we're leaning under. That feels a little counterintuitive. Why the under?
We have three big analytical points supporting it. First, that total is inflated by Detroit's early season offense. They were scoring nearly 30 points a game. That is completely unrealistic without St. Brown and Laporta. Sustained drives are going to be tough. You'll see more punts and field goals.
Okay, what's the second factor? The one sharp bettors really focus on.
The referee factor. Sean Hochuli's crew is officiating this game.
And he's an under-ref.
He's a massive under-ref. His crew historically trends heavily to the under, a career record of 65-47-2. He calls a tight game, lots of flags for holding and false starts.
And those are drive killers.
They're absolute drive killers. A 10-yard holding penalty on second and short just wrecks a drive. When you factor in Detroit's compromised O-line, they're likely to be grabbing and holding. Those flags will stall everything out.
And the third factor goes back to our game script.
If Dallas gets that lead, they pivot to running the ball. They slow the pace, shorten the game, burn clock. That is textbook under support.
Got it. Okay, let's talk anytime touchdown focus. If Detroit does get to the red zone, their go-to guys are gone. Who finds the end zone for the Lions?
That's their single biggest question mark. They'll have to get creative. Gibbs on angle routes, Montgomery on power runs. But there's no surefire lock like St. Brown was.
And for Dallas, it should be clear. Who's the anytime TD lock on their side?
It has to be CeeDee Lamb at plus 110. This is a must-bet at plus money. He is Dak's undisputed favorite inside the 10, and he has that overwhelming matchup advantage. We see Dallas getting 3 or 4 chips to the red zone tonight. Lamb only needs 1 target.
Okay, before we make our final prediction, what's the one wild card that could flip this script? What's Detroit's path to an upset?
Turnovers. It's their only real high-leverage path to victory. They're a top 10 team in forced fumbles. Dan Campbell will be urging them to go for the strip sack, punch the ball out on every tackle. If Hutchinson can get a strip sack on Dak, that could flip the whole game.
But the flip side of that is Goff's own turnover vulnerability, which we're banking on.
Precisely. Goff's ball security when pressured is a major concern. So while Detroit desperately needs a turnover, the risk is extremely high that they end up on the negative side of that ledger, sealing their own fate.
So all the data points, the health, the mismatches, the line movement, it all points one way. What's our final projected score?
We project Dallas 31, Detroit 23. We see Dallas starting fast, maybe a scripted opening drive touchdown, forcing Detroit to play from behind. Detroit will hang around for a half, but Goff turnovers and the inability to run the ball will let the talent advantage of Dallas pull away in the second half.
All right, that brings us to the most important part. Structuring our consolidated high-confidence betting card. Let's finalize the ticket.
Let's do it. This is our card, ranked by confidence based on all the source material.
First up, the winner and the total.
We're taking Cowboys plus 3.0 and under 54. Dallas is the healthier, sharper-backed team. They're winning the key matchups. The Hochuli ref trend and the Lions' injuries strongly support the under, and we highly recommend a sprinkle on the Cowboys' money line at plus 145.
Okay. Top 3 player props, ranked by confidence. Number 1, the lock that correlates with our whole game script.
Number 1, Jahmyr Gibbs, over 4.5 receptions. This is an autoplay. It's directly tied to Goff facing heavy pressure. Gibbs is the mandatory safety valve. He'll see 6 to 8 targets.
Number 2, the touchdown guarantee.
Number 2, CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown, plus 110.
Yeah.
He's Dak's go-to guy in the red zone. He's got the mismatch, and you're getting plus money. It's a must-bet.
And the third prop, the high variance play born from necessity.
Number 3, Jamison Williams, over our 58.5 receiving yards. Pure volume. He's the de facto WR1. He only needs 1 deep shot against this aggressive, banged-up secondary to hit this number.
And finally, we need 1 long shot touchdown score. High risk, high reward.
We are going with George Pickens, anytime TD. The rationale is simple. If the coverage, as expected, rolls to CeeDee Lamb, Pickens is going to get one-on-one with a smaller corner on a jump ball near the goal line. He offers great odds and tremendous upside in this specific matchup.
So we've broken it all down. The rosters, the game script, the tactical advantages that have moved this line, 3 full points in Dallas's favor.
Yeah, the data unequivocally supports a strategic lean towards Dallas. We think this current line is a gift from the public.
So as we close this out, here's the provocative thought for you to mull over as you watch this massive Thursday night game. Considering Dak Prescott's insane proficiency against man coverage, first in the league in passing yards against it, and Detroit's stubborn insistence on running man 66% of the time, is this predictable tactical mismatch the single greatest predictor of volatility and scoring advantage in the entire NFL this week?
That's the question that will determine whether your ticket cashes tonight. Good luck with the card.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time.